Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Kelvin Dorsey, author of 81 Days to Becoming an Online Marketing Sales Machine. Kelvin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
You ready to get started?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't like giving advice to other writers simply because writing is such a unique thing. I mean, you can't tell someone when they should be writing. I mean, only the writer knows if they're a morning person, night person. You can't tell someone why they should write a book. Only they know why they're writing the book. As far as getting published is concerned, because that's what this podcast is about, if that's what they want to do, then I would say seek out a guy like you, an expert, or find someone who's in your niche, who is already published, and find out how they did it. Yeah, that would be my advice.
And that's great advice. So my philosophy is I always seek out mentors, and I always feel that to be the best, you have to surround yourself with the best. And when I got involved with my local Chamber of Commerce here in Arlington, I sought out the best, and fortunately met an amazing guy. I call him the godfather of Arlington, city in which I live in, because he knows everyone, he's done business with everyone, and he's done it the right way. And if you can find someone like that, that is just, it's an amazing thing. And on the flip side, if you're not able to find someone like that, you're right, outsourcing it and having that CEO mentality where you trust someone who's going to get the job done for you, that does have a proven system that can actually help you in your journey, and that you vetted them, you've done your research, you made sure it's the right fit, and then just trust them, whether it's me or someone else, to make sure that they're going to get the job done for you.
Yeah, because I think my guess is I'm not going down that route. I'm a self-published guy, but I can imagine you could waste years and years and years trying to get that publishing deal.
Yeah, and they'll just keep trying and trying and trying without realizing done is better than perfect. Get the content out there, share it with the world, and see what happens. Yeah. Well, what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Oh, like I said, I'm the wrong guy to ask for that, but I could assume it's very difficult. Yeah, I hear people whinging and whining about how hard it is all the time. Yeah, I don't know. I think just people don't know that there's guys out there like you that can make the process easy. And the other problem would be, I guess, there's just a flood of books today. And if you don't have credibility, i.e. a huge following, it's going to be hard for the publisher to give you the yes. Because I think publishers these days want an author who already has a huge following, social media following. So if you don't have that proof of a huge already done audience, it's going to be tough, I think. But like I said, I'm not going down that route, so I'm probably the wrong guy to ask.
Well, and I tell you what, you actually hit the nail on the head, because I think it's one of the biggest things is these traditional publishers now, they are looking for people that have large followings on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then they're pitching them, going, hey, you have this large following, you have this blog, why don't you repurpose all these great blogs, turn it into a book, we'll clean it up for you, and then we can get it out there. But the thing is, they didn't mention the one key thing, and that was the fact that that traditional publisher, they're not going to market the book for you. They're expecting you and your following to do the marketing essentially, and then what they're going to do is help with the editing, formatting, getting the cover done, and send it for distribution. But they expect you now to do the marketing, and I think that's the biggest shift that's happened in
Mhm.
publishing over the past 20 years is you are now expected as the author, the one person who, for the most part, doesn't want to mess with marketing the book, they are
Yep.
expecting you to run that book like a business.
Right. So back in the day, it was the publisher was helping with that marketing, pushing the book out. Is that right?
Yeah. And that's the
Right.
biggest thing that's changed now. They're looking for people to social media followings or celebrities or reality television stars and help having them promote the book. So
Yeah.
it's really been a big shift out there. And that's why I tell most people is why are you going traditional route? Go hybrid or do it yourself because
Yeah.
there's no reason why you can't be just as successful because at the end of the day, it's still going to be on you to market it. So use a hybrid like myself who's going to help you market. Use someone else, but make sure you've got someone out there that's going to help you market the book properly.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, you're filling a big need out there for sure. It's a huge market for you. Huge.
Well, and this is going to transition really nicely into our next question, and that is to talk about marketing. So please
Yeah.
share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launches that has worked well.
Well, like I said, I'm an email marketer, so I use email marketing for everything. So I've got a new book coming out. I'm hitting that list up. I'm you keep writing emails saying this book's coming, and your fans they buy it. So, and I'm always building that list. So it's pretty no-brainer. It's a very simple marketing system, email marketing. Yeah.
Well, what about someone who's just starting out? So they're starting out, they're wanting to build an email list to get it to the level that you have with your following. What are some things that they can do to start to build that list and to build it quickly?
Yeah, well, I think if you're doing a Kindle book on Amazon, then you simply put a few links in the book that they can click on. So you offer them something that they want, some type of information, and that's how you get their email address, and you start building that email list.
And what are some great ways to do that as well? You're talking about potentially search engine optimization, or what's some things that people can do to help generate traffic with the book as well? Because obviously they stick the book on Amazon, they're still going to have to market it. So what are some strategies that you would suggest to help generate traffic to get the book and then to also funnel that traffic to your website?
Yeah, well, like again, I'm not the guy to ask for that. I got pretty lucky with my first book. I really didn't have to market that book at all. It just stayed up in the top one page for a couple of years. And every 6 months, I'll do a little solo ad, which means I hire someone else's list to promote my book, a paid solo ad. And that pushes my book up the rankings again. I'll get a quick burst of 50, 100 sales doing that. Other than that, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you actually
That's why I'm
brought.
still.
No, I was just going to mention, Kelvin, you brought up a great point where you talk about using someone else's list. I think that's such a great strategy. We had, and I know we talked about this prior to the show about the 1 hour interview that I did recently with Matt Stone, who was the
Right.
founder of Butt Books, and he was saying the same thing. The theme of our episode was utilizing OPP, other people's platforms. So, what
Yeah.
strategies would you suggest for people to be able to utilize someone else's platform to be able to do that? Because it's a great strategy and something that I feel is not utilized enough.
Yeah, yeah, hiring someone else's database, paying them money so that they will promote your book to their list. Podcasts like this, obviously. I mean, you could advertise on your website that you do interviews to get podcast interviews. I don't know. They're two ways that I know of. I don't know. There's probably a whole lot of other ways, but yeah, like I said, I'm not a marketing guy. Uh, I'm great at sales and sales copy. As far as marketing, that's a whole other game. It's a whole other animal. Um, and I pretty much outsource that, to be honest. If I'm going to do some marketing, I'm looking for a Facebook ad expert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to waste hours and days and years trying to work that out myself. It's just getting so difficult, that advertising game.
Yeah.
So my advice would be to outsource it.
I agree completely with you, Kelvin. Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So, what is your favorite book? And what
Yeah,
was the number one thing that you learned from it?
yeah. My favorite book. Yeah, that was a tough one. That was a tough question.
Oh, yeah, that's the toughest one.
Oh, yeah, I would say it's called The Boron Letters. It was written by a direct marketing guy back in the 80s. This guy was an absolute beast of a marketer. This guy was making millions with direct marketing, sending letters out to people's houses. And the book's called Boron Letters, and it's called Boron Letters because he got done for mail fraud. So he got put in prison. The prison was called Boron. And while he was in prison, he wrote a whole lot of letters to his son, explaining the business and just teaching him life lessons. And it's just a fascinating read. And the takeaway I got from that book was just how conversational his writing was. Just reading it, you felt like you were sitting at a bar having a beer with this guy. It was that conversational. And I just think that's just every non-fiction writer should just aim for that, I think, just to have that type of bond with your reader.
Yeah, I always
So,
say,
yeah, that's what stood out for me reading that book. And, yeah, a huge inspiration to me, huge influence.
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, writing at the end of the day, it's just like public speaking. It's a louder conversation with a good friend, and when you can have that
Yeah,
conversational text going through, that's what people want to know. They don't care about this, that, or the other. You don't have to hit all these different points. The main thing is they want to be able to connect with you as the author, and they want to be entertained. And as long as you
yeah,
can do those two things, everything else takes care of itself.
absolutely. Couldn't say it better myself. Brilliant.
And for a final question, another tough one, what is your favorite quote and why?
Yeah, my favorite quote is a Mark Twain quote. It goes like this: "It's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog."
Hmm.
So that my interpretation is uh, the people that succeed in life. You look at any top guy or girl in their field, they have more heart, more passion, more drive than the rest. Period.
And I would say the one other thing with that too, persistence.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Well,
Yep.
well, Kelvin, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Just type in my name, kelvindorsey.com. Very simple.
Well, Kelvin, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.